I feel like this is deja vu.
It is.
Oh wait, yeah it is.
Yeah, because we had to do this again.
We tried to record this once and the audio disappeared.
flopped.
But that's okay.
We're
That's
back.
it. We failed early.
That's
and
okay.
We failed
We had some garlic chicken.
And we're good now.
We're back.
And now we feel refreshed,
Yeah.
alive.
Ready
Yeah.
to go. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 of Mood Podcast.
So this week we're changing things up a little bit. We've got a special guest here, Mr. Issac Percy. So Isac's a close friend of ours and the founder of this thing we've got behind us here, Smash the Silence. And so this week's going to be a little bit different. Obviously we're on camera now. Which is
We've got a
bit-
visual element to
I
this
know.
podcast, a bit
But,
different. Before we begin this week's episode, we just want to give you a heads up. Some of the topics in this episode may be a bit sensitive for some listeners. Some of the topics that may come up include mental health disorders and suicide. If these topics aren't for you to be listening to or listening to alone, here's the heads up now.
Yeah, and if you need to reach out, we will have some provided sources below and on our Instagram as well. But also, if you just want to reach out and have a chat, we just want to make sure you guys know this is an open and safe space, so don't be afraid to do so.
So, Isaac, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself and what you do here at Smash the Silence?
Hey, I'm Isaac. I'm a 21-year-old from Camden, New South Wales, and I created Smash the Silence 4 years ago. And my job is to raise awareness for mental health and using that with the power of music.
Nice. So can you tell us a bit about the process of how Smash the Silence was built and how it was started?
Yeah, so 4 years ago, I did a workshop program with school called Max Potential, and I was able to create a community service project with me and a mentor. So I created Smash the Silence, and the whole idea about Smash the Silence was to combine something that I loved and also something that I had a passion for. So the biggest one being music. I have a massive love for music, and I was making and producing and DJing, and music was a big part of my life. And another thing that was a part of my life was mental health. And I kind of discovered that at a young age. I was about 13 when I went to school one day, and I bought a teddy bear on Valentine's Day for this girl that I liked, and I brought it into school, and she was crying, and I was like, am I really that bad? and then was that when then I found out that one of my friends in my year had passed away that morning, and it was one of those moments where we didn't really know how to understand or process that feeling, at young ages, you lose people like family members and things like that, but when you lose a friend, especially at a young age and with mental health being involved, that's a really hard thing to process. And it takes time to really understand how we communicate those things. So what I wanted to do with Smash the Silence is create a safe space where I could use the power of music to let people know that it's okay to speak out about these things and open that conversation up. And so that's pretty much how it all kind of came about. And
It's a very beautiful story.
Yeah, before we start, I just want to say we are so proud of you and
Yeah.
what you do
thank you.
here.
No, I appreciate
Yeah, we know
that.
Isaac from uni for over 3 years now, and we would never imagine that we'd be sitting here today filming this, so it's a pretty full circle experience, I think.
That's nice. It's cool.
So you did touch on how when you were at school, you didn't know what to do or say in that situation.
Yeah.
And this week that we will be uploading this podcast is Are You OK Day, to be exact.
Yeah, so the 10th of
The 10th of September, yeah. It's World Suicide Prevention Day. And something that I've noticed this year a lot they're trying to promote is to take that conversation further than Are You OK? It's the conversation that comes after. So I think learning how to continue that conversation is something really important, and what music can help us do and achieve coming together.
Yeah, and I think just touching on that, obviously we've all experienced this pandemic now. It's sort of become the normal to not know what's happening every week or something's changing. And even just like reading, we found out this statistic that since this pandemic has started, there's been an increase of like 25% to 33% of people who have developed either depression or have experienced anxiety attacks for the first time and don't know what it is. And especially at such a young age, at 13, you don't know what the heck it is. You're just sort of like trying to go through it. And so I guess the reason that we're here today as well with this and on Are You OK Day is to make that normal and open those conversations even at such a young age, because I think the kids these days are
They
much
have it
more,
harder.
yeah, they've got a lot more to deal with. Also, a pandemic has just been thrown at them, and
A pandemic in a virtual world
yeah,
as well.
in a very digital space. But I think it's really cool now that we're in this digital space and digital community. How have you been dealing with it? Like, has it been working?
How has it affected you?
Yeah.
And Smash the Silence.
Yeah, so basically, Smash the Silence is usually like an event that we host.
Yeah, it's all live.
Yeah, it's usually an annual thing, and we get some local live musicians to come and perform, and we have some guest speakers come and talk as well. And to adjust that program that we've been running for 4 years to an online format has been a whirlwind. You know, we had to learn very quickly how we were going to bring a safe, comfortable space where people can share and be open about mental health, and bring that to an online format. So, you know, we're filming the 10 weeks of programming. So we've got like 10 live artists and 10 people talking about mental health openly. And yeah, it's been really awesome, the reception we're getting. We're about halfway through the program, and it's been really great to hear some really awesome stories and hear some awesome young talent who at this moment also are uncertain as well in terms of their gigs, and people sharing their mental health and the uncertainty of like what happens after COVID and what happens during COVID. Yeah, I know that it was definitely a struggle for me to adjust the program that I treat as my baby. Basically, I remember like when it first all started, it was like, you know, I'd ask my friends to come and play, and you know, now an opportunity to have really awesome young up and coming talent that I'm just learning about, and them not really having a space to be able to share that. Hopefully that Smash the Silence being a platform where now they can kind of like get out there and support something like with especially mental health, and for their age group as well. You know, we have like 15 to 25 as the age group for like our bands and the guest speakers as well. So hopefully that people can like not just feel like it's one person feeling uncertain, that it's a general feeling of uncertainty. Everyone's kind of going through this together, and we're all kind of trying figuring it out. But yeah, those statistics are full on, you know, like, and the whole idea that people are struggling and still trying to get their way through the mud and figure it out as we go. They're not alone for that. Like, there's so many people going through that. Yeah.
And I think it's a really beautiful thing that these days there's so much more open discussion about this, because back when I was in high school, you kind of felt like the only person you could go to was like a school counsellor, and that was a bit daunting because
It's
you
very
don't know
confronting.
this. You don't know this person. You don't know if they, you know, will accept you or your story, and it was very confronting. And now I just think it's so great that there's so many different outlets to go to, so many different people and organisations, and this is definitely one of them, where from a young age people can go up to someone and have a chat and perform through music, which is such a different idea. You've sort of taken like a negative and turned it into a positive situation with the music aspect, which is really cool, and that's why we're here today.
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned before in a previous podcast too, you know, it's about looking at the internet and social media not as the bad guy, but as a tool we can actually use to help start conversations and connect and find things you've got in common with other people online. Even having that safe online platform as a mental health resource is really good, because, you know, you can stay anonymous if what you want to be sharing isn't something you're comfortable talking about in person yet. And I think that's something that's come out of this pandemic and having to be isolated.
Yeah, it's a lot of education as well. You know, we've gotten the time to sit down and just sort of relax, but also learn a lot of things, learn about ourselves. I think that's a big one, and I'm glad to see it continuing, and it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really cool that we can have like the discussion not just about like mental health, but ways of being able to cope with those, and like music being a big one.
Exactly.
As well, like the fact that now with the idea of the value of a live performance is like almost changed. So now that
it's
when
all
we
virtual now. That's like
Yeah.
the word we're hearing everywhere. It's like a buzzword.
Exactly. So like artists are coming up with like these really cool ways to engage with their audiences and putting out new music, and it's really cool that we can have that discussion about what new music is coming out, what it means to us as well.
Yeah, exactly. Last week in our podcast we spoke about
all about this.
user-generated content
Yeah.
and the collaborations between artists and the audience, and how this pandemic has helped that happen, and we're seeing so much new music, new
A
art,
lot of new
everything.
innovations. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're able to create more now, you know, that
Yeah.
we're given that space to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the artists that I've spoken to with the Smash the Science program, a lot of them are saying that like their songwriting is like a journal, and that's what they use to like kind of track where they're at in life. And so when there's through this uncertainty, their music is like the thing that they've got that's certain for them, and that's like their way to express.
It's a
and
coping
understand.
mechanism.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think obviously you've got all these different artists performing. Do you want to tell us a little bit about who's collabed here
Yeah.
on this very stage?
Or who you've got coming up as well. We'd love to hear.
Awesome, yeah. So we've had some really, really awesome, exciting like local talent from the Camden area. So we've had Blue Dean, who's a great like kind of bluesy band. They got an awesome vibe. We've had Rose Cole, who's like a really young songwriter who's like coming through. We had Manning Paxton, who's the most soulful voice, will make you feel like butter. Upcoming,
make you feel like butter.
we've had heaps of other groups. Like I've got so many to name up. A big exciting one we've got coming up is Tashang. That's a really exciting one. That actually that comes out 2 days after this episode comes out.
Stay tuned, guys.
So stay tuned for that one. Yeah, that's going to be a really exciting one. And we've got some really exciting ones to get recorded and put out as well. Like it's so good that we can kind of create like a virtual gig for people to kind of come to, and not just that, but we can also help educate people as well by like putting out the videos and talking to the artists and putting that all out there for people to kind of access and help understand about mental health and kind of get that idea that the conversation should keep going.
Flowing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we know music can be a tool in helping our mental health. Are there any artists in particular that you've been listening to that's helped you through a tough time, or even during COVID at the moment?
Yeah.
Can you name like a top 3 for us?
Top 3.
That's hard. Top 3. I'm already trying to think.
Well, the biggest one you already know is Frank Ocean.
Yeah.
Show us the tattoo.
There's an ankle.
Yeah.
Shout out to his dad
Yeah,
who
shout
drew
out
that
Roger.
up.
Yeah. Was it
Uh-huh.
Robert? Is that his name?
Roger.
Roger.
And Mac Miller's probably another big one as well. And currently, I've been listening to like a lot of the Smiths. I just think that their music's so bizarre, but I love it. Yeah.
Mentioning Mac Miller, we saw that you attended this sort of super low-key, very special event. Talk
Please
about
tell
that.
us about it.
Yeah. So I remember I was out somewhere and I saw this survey, like for attending Mac Miller's like the premiere for the album, and I went on it. It was like, in 25 words or less, what does Mac Miller's music mean to you? So I filled that out, and not sure what to get back. And it was 2 days before it was actually meant to happen that I got the email saying, "Here's your tickets to come. It's at this location. Don't tell people that you're coming. Don't invite anyone else. It's just like just
How
for
hard
you."
was it to keep that secret? I would have
was-
been like ready to
Yeah,
pounce.
I told
into
my
the whole
I
world.
mum. Like, I was like, "Mum, this is crazy." Like,
I trust you, Mum.
yeah, I trust my mum. Yeah, and so I went to this location like Ultimo or something like that. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was Imaginary Children. I can't remember. That's the name of the place. Anyway,
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
maybe that's the maybe
Super
that's,
low key.
Super
Super
low. It was
low
super low
key.
key. It was like this like brick 1-story like building, and we're like, and there's people lined up.
Where
Dodgy.
are we?
We all didn't know what was going on. We're like, okay, and we get in there, and it's this beautiful like space. It was like there was some fan art on the walls of like paintings of Mac Miller, like tribute paintings, and there was a live artist, and he was doing some live art of like Mac making the album.
Yeah.
And what was also really cool is on the roof they had on string they had like little postcards of hand-drawn pictures of Mac, and on the back were the responses that we all wrote.
The
as well.
25 words or less. Wow.
Yeah, and so that was really
Wow.
nice. And
Did you get to take yours home?
I did
You
take
should
mine
like
home.
frame it.
I have.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I definitely have. Yeah, and it's just like an amazing experience, like being able to listen to the album beforehand, and it felt really intimate, and we like were able to kind of feel really in tune and connected, like more than ever, to like the music, and really understand where Mac was at in that time in his life. He's a very open and honest artist, and like his music was very vulnerable and very open, and being able to share that before anyone else was able to hear that was just such an intimate and amazing experience that like I can't even replicate or explain to people.
Yeah, it's like that once in a lifetime experience.
Absolutely.
Like just, you'll never get a repetition of it.
Yeah. It's
I guess that's
incredible.
something you can hold deeply in your heart forever.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Mac Mel.
Shout out to Matt.
It's so powerful that music has that
Capability.
it could mean so much to different people as well.
Absolutely.
And even Mac Miller's music does that as well. What he was going through when he wrote that might not be what you're going through, but you can still relate to elements of it
Absolutely.
and get in the feels.
Get in
when
the
you hear his
feels, pop
stuff.
out that sad playlist,
Have a little sook.
have a cry.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a sook.
Yeah.
It
no,
feels good to have a sook.
Sometimes if you're sad and you listen to sad music, you
Yeah.
feel better at the end. Like, it's
Yeah.
it. What about you guys? What's some artists that you've been like listening to?
I already know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Gang of Youths. The Gang of Youths Appreciation Gang are listening. I'm giving you a shout out. If you don't know, the lead spokesman, David Leopepe, or Dave, and his beautiful Shakira hips. Have you guys ever seen Dave live?
Yeah,
I was
front
with
row.
You were with me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that man is something else. But he's been very open about his mental health journey, and you can hear in each album how he's progressed
Absolutely.
and how he's in such a better place now.
And that's a really beautiful thing to witness
yeah.
live as well.
Yeah, it's so good to see. Absolutely.
Yeah, if I'm ever having a rough day, I just pop on some Gang of Youth and I'm feeling better straight
That's
away.
so good.
Nice.
How about you, Jules?
Well, honestly, there's just a lot of female artists that I think really move me in the music they've been producing. A lot of like, I've been relating to a lot of like Georgia Smith and H.E.R.
Her.
So when I first discovered her, I was still in high school and like no one really knew her then,
Yeah,
and I feel
same.
like I couldn't like tell anyone about it. So it was just sort of like my little secret. Like I was just listening to her all the time, and like she hadn't had an album yet.
Yeah.
It was just
She had,
like
some
these
singles on
these
SoundCloud
random
and stuff.
singles, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was always like, who is she? And like she never used to
Show
put
her
herself
face.
out there or show
Yeah,
her
Like,
face. She
show
was
She's
her-
really
hiding
anonymous, yeah.
hiding behind her sunnies, and I'm like, who is this girl? She's so talented. But yeah, just a lot of female artists who are also in their 20s right now and just going through the same problems that we go through, and like seeing that through their music and hearing it, it just puts me in a comfortable place, and it makes me cry and it makes me happy, and I love it.
You know, I really think it's been important to support our favourite artists, especially local Australian ones, during this pandemic. You know, they've lost a lot of income and gigs.
Absolutely.
How, you know,
Yeah, you would know.
you would know, yeah.
Yeah.
I do know, yeah, absolutely.
Support Act is the only Australian charity that does help support any Aussie artists or people in the music industry. And I've seen a lot of virtual things you can attend that will help raise money for that.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important we continue to support our local Aussie artists in this time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then like they're creating just as much as they were, if not more. Like
I know,
all
and they're
the-
having to reshape everything, rethink everything.
Yeah.
And it may seem like a really stressful thing, but with what we've seen come out of it, it's pretty cool. Like, you would have never imagined all these like virtual shows lining up for a concert on your laptop and being like, what am I doing? Like, but it's pretty cool, and I guess that's what you've had to experience with this as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, music does have such a positive influence on our mental well-being. Researchers from the Marks Institute for Brain Behaviour and Development have found that music increases memory and retention, as well as maximises learning capabilities. Our brains trigger particular emotions, memories and thoughts, which often lead to positive effects towards mental health. So there's 5 potential benefits music's said to have. Do you want to read them out, Jules?
Yeah, and I think before I even go ahead, but we don't ever realize these things. Like, I think
I
they
know.
seem
You
so
kind of pop it on in the
relevant
background,
and
but
little,
you
and
don't
like,
realise what it's doing.
and we sort of laugh at these things as well. I find some like to make a joke out of it, but it's like, no, like this is accurate. Like this actually helps. So elevates your mood and motivation. It's also reducing stress. Like if you're sitting at home right now listening to this, close your eyes. Imagine that song that always gets you through, and just it makes sense. These things do happen, you know. It improves focus. I always find that you know, if I'm doing an assignment or I'm just trying to concentrate on something, if I've got music in the background,
Lo-fi hip hop
Lo-fi
beats.
beats.
Yeah,
it
you
just
know.
helps.
Shout out.
But
Shout
yeah,
out.
shout out.
We'll probably pop some in the background of
Oh,
this.
please.
Yes. It helps relaxation, helps reduce anxiety and depression.
I can definitely stand for that one. Yeah.
So, Isaac, how has Smash the Silence helped your own personal mental health journey?
Oh.
Before you start,
Yeah.
you can go in as little or as
Pressure. No
lot
pressure.
of detail as you
No
want,
pressure.
Yeah.
whatever you're comfortable talking
No,
about. Yeah, just.
No
I was
pressure.
sad once.
I was sad.
I was-
I was a sad.
I
I
had-
was a sad boy.
I had the big sad. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's
We're getting right in.
we're getting right in there.
Tea.
Really get it. This is the
Drop the
ultimate
mic.
therapist session now.
Yeah.
No.
Welcome to therapy sessions.
Welcome
with
to
me.
music therapy.
Music therapy.
Music therapy.
Uh,
Oh, sorry,
no,
continue.
it's okay.
Sorry, we'll just cut him off again.
Please, it's alright. No, basically, Smash the Silence has helped me a lot, especially the past 2 years. Like the first 2 years, you know, things went pretty easy. You know, like I was really happy with how things were going. And it's about that third year that in my personal life I had some issues. I had a really toxic, abusive relationship that I was in, and that set me down a really heavy spiral of depression and anxiety. I was at the worst point in my life. I dropped down to one uni subject. I failed at multiple. I was down to 47 kilos. I was barely eating. I wasn't exercising. I cut off my friends and my family and my whole support network, and I really isolated myself and just became that toxic relationship that I was in. And that was a really tough time. And at the same time in my life, I was coordinating Smash the Silence. You know, and I was having these conversations with these musicians and my friends, and trying to put this event together that if anyone needed it, it was me.
Yeah.
And so over time, I can now testament to the fact that talking about it and smashing the silence is so important. Like when I was able to have those conversations with my family and my friends and help them understand what I'd been going through, they were able to help me get out of the hole that I was in and become me again. Because when you are going through these things like depression and anxiety, you feel like you become the illness that you have. But it's the exact same as like when you have a cold. Like when you have a cold, you go to the doctor, you're just sick. You know, if you've got a mental illness, you get help. You know, you talk to someone about it. You know, talk to a work colleague or a friend
To
or whatever.
anyone, really.
Literally anyone. You know, or you find those support, those things that help you out, like music. You know, as being a big one, especially for my life. Was listening to those artists like Frank Ocean and Mac Miller that helped me understand my feelings, understand where I was at in my life, and so being able to find coping strategies and finding the support networks again, and then with being able to work with Smash the Silence and use that as my motivation to get better, it's saved my life. It's made me who I am today, and I'm so glad that I'm here to talk about it and hopefully help people smash their silence as well.
That's really wholesome.
I'm about to have a
I
little
know, I was gonna
cry.
say, it's since we've like all known each other for the past like 3 or so years. I think we definitely remember when we were like, "Is Isaac okay?" Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's just so amazing.
I think we didn't know even how to approach the situation though, but
Yeah.
by educating people
It
and knowing
does
what
so
to
much,
say in
yeah.
those moments, because
Yeah.
I feel like you're often too scared. You don't want to say the wrong thing.
No, of course.
But it's about saying something at all, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's scary and it's hard sometimes to
It is.
when you reach out to someone, sometimes it's hard to actually reach back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is really hard to actually have that initial conversation. I know that for me, I felt like I pushed so many people away that I felt like I couldn't make that step. You know,
Yeah.
I was at a point where I literally just felt like I had to just live vicariously through the things that I wish I could be doing rather than actually just doing the things I wanted to do. And I felt trapped. However, I wasn't. You know, I was still me at the end of the day, and I'm me now. You know, I sometimes you have your struggles. You know, COVID was a bit of a struggle, and that uncertainty was really one that I think everyone struggled with as well. And I was able to have those support networks and being able to have the conversations and help understand your feelings, that then you can actually make that step to go, you know what, it's okay, I'm going to be okay, I'm not alone through this. And you're never alone.
No one's alone. And I think that's the main thing we want to take away from this episode. We're not just here to talk about music and mental health in general. It's just about letting you guys know that you shouldn't be afraid to talk. You can open up to anyone, even if you think that person wouldn't want to hear your story. I think that's so important. And it's really beautiful to see the digital community grow into that and grasp that, and really everyone just supporting each other. And I think that we should really continue doing that, especially since this month is
World Suicide Prevention Month and week and day today when we're posting this.
So we hope you guys are okay. If you're not, please reach out. We'll have a lot of resources to provide you guys with. But I think just with everything that we've been talking about today, we're really proud of you and like what you've done, like
how far you've come.
I'm proud of you guys. This podcast is great. You know, I mean, it is the second time we had to do it, but it's still good.
It doesn't matter.
It is still very good.
We're still here. We're still showing up.
No, and it's really I think it's so exciting to be able to share my story and what I'm doing with people that I care about. You know, it's really exciting, and I hope people can hopefully take what I say and like go, you know what, I can, you know, hopefully be educated. You know, like the whole point is that, you know, if you're struggling and you like are looking for support networks, you know, hopefully what I do with Smash the Silence can help educate you. Or even if you're just like a music listener and you know someone that's struggling and you're listening to the Smash the Silence content, which you definitely should. There's some awesome live content up on our Facebook. I forgot to say, I'll do the plug later. But
it was going to happen.
It's going to happen eventually. But yeah, hopefully that with what we're trying to provide with what I'm doing here at Smash the Silence, hopefully that people can help understand it's okay and be connected.
And you've definitely done a good job of that.
Thank you.
Music does bring people together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're trying to do.
And I think
with
it definitely brought us together as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
So Isaac, now
go ahead.
give us a plug.
Give us the plug.
Give us the plug.
Follow us at smashthesilence.au on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook as well at Smash the Silence. Check us out on YouTube, Smash the Silence AU as well.
Good content.
Yeah, so every Friday night we've got the live performances.
Bring the tissues.
Bring the tissues on the Sunday when we have the young individuals talk about their story.
Yeah.
We've had some amazing guest speakers talk about all sorts of issues like LGBTQI plus people. We've had people talk about their understanding their identity, people who have had to deal with life-changing, you know, problems at their life. It's been really awesome to have these conversations, and hopefully people can take something out of it and be educated. You know, it's a really important time to educate yourself. COVID was almost made for it to help us all understand.
It's like a big break for everyone to just really get their heads into this type of stuff.
Absolutely.
It really matters.
Yeah, so check us out. Now you do your plug.
Well,
thanks for listening
thanks for
to
joining us.
episode 3 of Mood Podcast.
Let us know if you guys enjoy this, the whole visual element,
and
something
also
different for us.
Yeah, please let us know in the comments too. Are there any artists that have helped you through a tough time? Or are there any that are helping you through COVID? We'd love to know your responses.
Yeah, give us the specific artists, give us the specific songs we want to hear.
Or those albums where you just play from like start to end.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening.
joining.
And thank you, Isaac, for joining us
Thanks
and
for
having us
me.
here at your studio. What would you call this?
Thanks for coming.
HQ?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
All right, guys, stay safe, and we'll see
you
next
next
time.
episode.
Catch you later, guys.